Yeah, thanks for joining us. I'm Marlo Melodies here at Gear4music Synths and Tech with Tom. And in this video, we are going to have a bit of a sort of patch off. We've both been playing with the MiniFreak for some time. This is my one. This is Tom's one. What lucky people we are. And so I wanted to just talk a bit about some sounds we've made as a way of just talking a bit about the things it can do.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you've come up with and enjoyed on this thing?
Well, I'm actually going to go to a preset. One of my favourite ones sort of highlights the kind of weirder side of this machine, which is something it definitely pushes you down those kinds of avenues. So the sound I really like is called Sci-Fi Slam, and it's preset number 8 for anyone that's interested, and you may have heard it already. This one. It's got serious sort of fundamental to it and loads of kind of glistening, sparkly weirdness after it.
Can you play a bit more?
Yeah, sure. Super low end on that one. It's ridiculous. And this is a particularly interesting one because you can hear there's sequencing of something. It's being influenced by a sample and hold there. So but
the sequencer is not on.
The sequencer is not on. That's actually coming from the LFO. It's a step shape in the LFO that's influencing that kind of pitch information. And I like the way that the sort of the kick drum or the bass kind of subnote sort of fades away quite quickly. I quite like that about it. It goes into kind of obscurity.
Have they used an envelope to make it fade away? Create a kick drum.
Yeah, there's actually a fair bit going on. So if we just quickly scan through, I've done it the wrong way by going across there. Super side note for anyone interested, you've got the up and down if you hold the shift for the mod matrix. Super useful. So the cycling envelope is influencing the pitch of the second oscillator. So that's kind of creating those sort of off-kilter sort of pitch things. And then there's also the oscillator is quantized. So if we go to oscillator 2 quickly, it is quantized to a scale. So that information's sort of always musically relevant to a point, if you catch my drift. So it's quite an interesting sound. It's quite, for lack of a better term, modular. If you like that, it's kind of got that kind of buckler vibe.
You can do so much modulation on this thing that it really truly does get into kind of modular territory.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has Platz's oscillator.
Yeah, it really does. So yeah, as we've talked about earlier, there's so many different algorithms in here that you can. I'm going to show you real quickly. Is actually modulating the algorithm sort of on a per step basis. So there's actually a really good. I've got to remember the patch number. Drum and bass drums, which is actually modulating.
Keep that going. What?
So on a kind of per step basis, it's letting, so it'll go high for the kick, low for the snare, depending on how the modulation's tied in. So with some careful exploration, you can make percussion sounds. You can turn it into a drum machine, even a polyphonic drum machine. Or pitched drum machine, anyway.
So crackers.
So yeah, you can, with some perseverance, make those kind of things as well, and that's baking in the type modulation into the sequencer. So that's something that I quite like to do. Go back to a source super quick. I'll just show you really quickly how you would do that. Let's go. Do something absolutely rubbish. It will get better. We go to the last step really quickly, and then you'd record that modulation in. Then find the ones that you like. Let's say that we like that one. You can then copy that step and then paste it any way that you want. So, bad example, but you get the idea that you could make a sound that you like, copy that sound, drop it in somewhere else. So yeah, again, with some perseverance, you can make something that sounds
like a drum and like a whole drum kit.
if you wanted to. Yeah.
Spackers.
Yeah. So I quite like that one. And then there are some really, really nice.
Yeah.
As you'd expect, polysynth pads with like really long rise times.
Bit more. More.
Oh, wrong chord, but I'll take it.
It's fine. You can
Close enough for jazz.
You can quantize the scales, of course, can't you? So you can quantize.
Let me just fix my
to the
bad playing. So now I'm constantly playing in minor, which is great for me.
for that techno vibe.
Yeah, C minor. So yeah, just in the presets alone, there's everything from weird kind of modular noise through to classic kind of glistening pads through to drums, if you want it. And what I quite like is reverse engineering that stuff and going, how did they make that? And the one thing I like as well is you can actually put your name in.
Yeah.
So when you save a patch, it saves it with your name.
Credits you.
Yeah, it credits you.
Yeah.
So I've actually overwritten the first preset. No, I didn't make it. That was a total mistake.
You took credit for it.
But I inadvertently took credit for it. So yeah, I mean, we're going to go into kind of sound design, but just to say, there's 255 presets in here that cover a whole range of stuff.
Yeah.
I've still not got through all of them. To be
and a
totally
plugin
honest.
to help you.
And a plugin to help you as well, to help you navigate.
It's like, I've added like 40 presets at this point. Like I had
way
it for like
more
2
than me.
weeks. But it's interesting, like the things that I came up with it are really simplistic things. So it's really interesting to hear how, like, oh yes, of course, you can modulate the type so you can create things that really on a sixpence. It's one sound, then it's another. Very modular sort of way of doing things.
Yeah.
Very
completely.
DFAM. For like, just to play some things,
Yeah,
like
I've
got
It's called?
Nemo 16th.
Oh.
Because we played the Vangelis CS80 sort of thing, which was the sound that I wrote, came up with, because it's just like a good hallmark. And this is
Does it sawtooth?
does it sawtooth? Does it sound beautiful? Just doing sawtooth.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it does.
It does sound good. I think we both share that kind of sentiment. That can you smash a sawtooth into the low pass filter and it sounds good?
True of the Polybrute, especially as well as this. Like, it's definitely it sounds nice doing simple things. And actually, there was one of that sound that you had. I like starting with a more conventional thing and then adding a weird vowely, gribbly thing to it. And this is like a pad inspired by an ERP tune. Oh no, I can't think of the name of the tune. That is it. And it's Vox Automaton. I recommend that you listen to Vox Automaton by ERP, and it's got a really lovely, it's actually done on a JD800.
Okay.
Which
it's got like some trilly.
Because in here is the it's the chord mode, because on the chord mode, if you modulate it at speed, I think that's what is actually making it. But then now I look at it, it's timbre 1. Maybe it is. No, it is wave 2. So I'm modulating the chord mode, because you get like inversions and it just creates.
So it's going to be like scanning through the chord types. What are you scanning it with? Like the cycling envelope or something?
No, just the LFO1.
Oh, okay, cool. See, again, that's almost sequencer-esque without having a sequencer.
It is, because the modes are like inverting. It's like pitched information that is changed with the oscillator, not just timbral information too. And then you could change like the waveform to like sample and hold.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And mean, you could always like kind of pitch quantize the second oscillator. It wouldn't pitch quantize the chord.
You said as well that you can actually pitch quantize the like modulation to the oscillators, which is fairly bananas as well. It's like
so.
I'll
show you super quick because that's something I actually quite like to do. So again, with a sawtooth, because
I'm going to reverb. like 10-minute reverb. Almost not enough, but
almost not enough.
Almost.
So I'm just going to generalistic init sound with a bit of effects. Very quickly, I'll show you that kind of quantization because that's something that I've used a fair bit in some of my custom patches. So I actually tend to quantize the oscillator 1 to minor because that's my favorite scale, and then I'll take something like the cycling envelope. Thank you, Alex.
You're very welcome.
I'll take something like the cycling envelope and put that on the pitch. So if I sign that on there,
which would normally make it go like wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, but instead it's going to make it go not wow, wow, wow.
It's going to go Nino, Nino, but like in tune. Oh wow.
I've got to set it to run. That's in mono when it's on run, and then loop. But then what I'd like to do is have that on a macro. So you can't turn down the volume of this and you can't turn down the destination of that. So how would you go about that? So you duplicate the oscillator again and then macro control the volume. So if I go into the edit, so I should be able to turn, so I'll turn that one up when it's all the way at the top and turn that one down when it's all the way at the bottom. It's quite a cool little thing. So like we mentioned in another video, you could dial in a sequence with that if you wanted to. So you could almost crossfade between two sequences kind of thing. So I quite like that. And obviously you've got you could still macro control these if you wanted to. So if I go to this, I'll control the rise and fall time. So that will actually control the speed of the sequence as well, or the sequence as I like to call it. So
it's really quite bonkers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, and then there's the sequence. I mean, like I've got a sound here, which is, so this was inspired weirdly by an iPad and phone app I've been using loads called Synthesizer.
It's
really good, isn't
it? It's really good.
I love it because it's really simple and it just forces you to like come up with a good little riff. And I can't say this is a good riff, but this is the kind of patch that I've made with that app.
Yeah, straight away. Where's your vibrato, mate?
Look, do you see this finger? It's just for you, that vibrato.
Oh, thank you. I like how like different notes jump out when you add the decay or the release from the envelope.
And there's like, we talked in another video about how there isn't ping pong in this because it isn't possible. Like the
voice structure doesn't allow for
it just isn't possible, unfortunately. But you can add ping pong delay.
With the ping pong delay, yeah, of course.
So, and then you can maybe see, but you've got up to 64 steps, and it's quite nice, the implementation. You can like see one bar, and I can come up here, and I can bake in like,
and you've got the overdub still, and because it's got the 6 voices, you could play over the top.
Yeah. This is catnip for me music. I also think it's like what this synth is really good at for is just like not just coming up with a nice sound, but also the good riff that goes with it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, absolutely.
There's enough to be done. And you were also like, you can make it like you could be using chord mode. This is all just basic waves. And it is the basic waves mode, I believe, in both.
Strange, isn't it, how you very rarely navigate into like the weirder stuff.
Well, you just...
And then you navigate into it and go, why didn't I do this earlier?
So if that's 2 up. Oh, the 2 up.
That's cool. So you should have the level of that on a macro.
Yeah. That sort of illustrates how like you'd start off trying to make a synthesizer sound, but you'd end up as a sort of like digital harpsichord or something. Like you do go off in like, I call it like cul-de-sacs with this synth, where you're like, down this cul-de-sac we go and discover like a sound I wasn't originally trying to make. But
that is one of my favorite ways to use it, as I mentioned earlier, is having something sensible on this side of the morph and something totally not sensible on the other side. It really does sort of lend itself to that sort of thing, because you can smash sawtooth way through. You can also make it do. Where's that bass sound? I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's absolutely destructive. Where is it?
I've got a couple of bass sounds for you as well.
1 second. I'm going to look for bass. So yeah, category browse. You hold shift and turn the thing. And
you can then find just bass sounds.
Yes, if you press the encoder in, which I keep forgetting to do. There we go. No, not. Oh,
whoa!
That one.
I think we found it, folks.
That's the one. Yeah. So the macros on this.
Wow.
Like chorus and wave folding.
Wow. Wow. I mean, there was a sound that I played you in the other video, which was this one, which is like, this thing does do a good side note in making very angry noises.
Yeah. What did you use for that?
It's Carpler Strong. So it's like, which can sound like used judiciously, unlike in this example. It can sound very sort of guitar-y, but it's something to filter. But like, absolutely like wild, the bass. Like, I've got like a dry bass. I think I literally called it dry bass. Excuse me, here it is. There she is.
Yeah, but it's like fat.
And there is some very subtle effects on there. Distortion, and the distortion is really
very, very musical.
Without.
Yeah.
That's nice too.
It doesn't have the... Oh, Christ.
And then there is some multi-comp. Because there's like noise on the...
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just amplifying like the innate sort of noise floor of the analog filters, I guess.
Yeah.
But it adds like... But it fades away.
Yeah.
So it's like...
See if that changes with the envelope a sec. I want to see if that comes after the VCA. Does the comp come after it?
It's its own little thing. So it must be built in because it's... and the multi-comp, you said it before, I think, where it's like sound or like production-ready sound.
Yeah, mix-ready sound.
It's definitely like... certain sounds just really want to be well in your face.
Yeah.
And then the other one was the Can You bass, which I played... I don't think that's right. Apologies.
No copyright strikes.
Yeah, maybe. Welcome to Have the Copyright. It's an absolutely banging sound, sir. But yeah, Mr. Fingers, Can You Feel It is like... And that's like chorus, and there's also some multi-comp because it is very like compressed and forward. Actually, I watched a really good video. I can't think of the name. There's a fantastic YouTuber. We'll have to link below. But he does a video about like, Can You Feel It? And one of the things he talks about is it's the tape saturation that makes that tune, and so...
And you can get a good approximation of that,
Get that, which is like, actually, it illustrates that the effects are part of the sound.
Yeah, they really, really are.
Like, it's not just like marketing talk.
There's so many opportunities to add that vibe as well, because you've got the kind of bit crushing and distortion with the external input, or with the kind of decimator, the exploding frog, and then you've got like the distortion and the multi-band comp as well. So there's you start to I mean, I've already started adding noise into my bass sounds that I wasn't really doing before.
Yeah.
And this has sort of like led me down that path.
Like you can't have the Vangelis CS80 patch without tons of lexicon reverb on it.
Yeah.
The other one, I was listening to this band, sort of a unfortunate name called Bitchin' Bahas. Terrible name, excellent band, thoroughly recommend. And they have a record where there's lots of like frippatronic stuff going on, where they're playing into a very long tape delay. And I wanted to have a go at like making some of the sounds that were in that. So I was really like vibing with. When we talk about like the sound being, the effects being part of the sound.
Yeah. Turn those effects off a sec. See, it sounds with and without.
Well, I guess the point here is you turn off the delay.
Totally loses
It's
its
a nice
groove.
sound.
Yeah.
But the whole point is it's about playing into delay and letting...
But we need to take a second to appreciate how nice that filter sounds.
Yeah. It sounds crusty here. Because I think I've got some distortion. But not like a sort of like kind of crazy amount, but like enough to just like warm and vibe it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm not using a MiniFreak, they're using like a Crumar DS2, which is like super janky, like crazy old like monopoly thing. And like, you know, nice pedals.
But it's good that you can get that vibe injected into it, yeah.
Like, I heard someone say that like this synth doesn't have like its own character, but it can take on the character of lots of other synths. And I think there's definitely some truth to that. Like,
oh yeah.
I definitely think there are like freaky things it does.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, just an example of like using effects as part of the sound.
Yeah, totally. You got any others?
Yeah, I have more. Got more.
Go.
I did do like, let me have a listen. Oh yeah, like a little bit of, this is a slightly weird one, which is just using like really trying to grit and drive, but in... So that's like audio rate modulation of the cutoff.
What were you using as a source? The cycling?
Just the LFO.
Just the LFO?
Yeah, the LFO
Full
goes...
tilt.
But if you do it like not, if you do it too much, it goes like, bleh, you know? But if you do it a little bit, it just adds this kind of
It's
extra
like almost
harmonic.
sub-audio rate. It starts to sound music.
So it's the idea of like a slightly crunked up pad. And actually there's like another thing here.
I like that.
There's an orbital, like from the more recent like orbital records, there's a tune they did and they've got this really amazing pad sound that has like sample and hold, like modulating a filter in it. And it doesn't sound like this, and I've not been able to quite nail it, but there's that idea that there's like some extra heavy modulation of the filter in it.
Just at the beginning.
Well, kind of as it descends and collapses, it sort of does things like that.
Yeah.
And maybe they use sample and hold.
That sounds cool. That's very cool.
It's nice. It's
yeah,
nice.
It's very, very cool.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's another couple of like sound-alikes that I did because there were things that I was like vibing with, which was Orteca, and not the kind of sounds that you were playing at the start, like the drum, which is the more recent Orteca. I'm talking like old Orteca.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I just like mash the keyboard like I'm a sort of simple person that is just like, not able to play the keyboard is who I am. But that's like the sound from 9.
Yeah.
From Amber, I think.
Yeah, from Amber. Yeah,
It is
yeah.
Amber, isn't it?
Yeah.
Apologies for
Yeah. No, it is.
with the delay as well. something like that.
Even like the glide spot.
It's a very weird sound. Like it's like an FM sound. Now, on the actual record, there's this bit where the sound kind of breaks apart in a very interesting way. And I haven't been able to work out, I haven't tried to, but I bet you could like come up with an approximation, because this uses the 2-op FM, I think also, and the modal.
Is that you're getting that kind of like strike?
Maybe, yeah. There's like just an extra bit of harmonic, extra bit of body to it. But of course, it's the FM sound, and it's like 2-op FM, which is being, that sound is just like probably a TX-81Z.
I was going to say, have you got any idea what they used for the original?
Probably something like that, because it was cheap.
Yeah.
And their sequence they had was so lovely. It's so odd, such an odd sequence, but it's such a lovely, like the kind of thing you can just play forever and ever and ever. I don't know. I'm gravitating to the kind of like spooky, warm, odd, slightly quirked out. Not doing I've not done stuff that is like, the whole synth going completely nuts. I'm trying to think if there's anything more to play. Oh, I did make a sound called Wah Garble.
Okay. What did you use for that?
That is the speech and wave shaper. The speech being wave shaped.
Yeah.
So he's actually using the vocal. There's this thing where it talks, like the synth can talk. I don't mean. But if you slow it down, you get like tones and sounds. Do it again. And can you change the word? And
yeah, you can do. You can do.
Wow.
3, 5, 8, 8.
Indigo.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Indigo.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
Add some like delay to that, and then.
Yeah.
Indigo.
make it come in slow.
Indigo.
Like the start of like a very weird tune. That's amazing.
But that's a really good bed for pads. It's like a kind of starting a fundamental, effectively, especially if you're in the. If you get it there, and then if you get like a kind of let's go for the super wave. Do like me a rave saw. How it gives it that kind of big crushy thing up front.
Yeah.
It's a really good. It gives it like a bit of movement that you couldn't possibly dial in. It's it is a pads machine, this thing. It's like a vibey pads monster. It really is. I mean, it can do, obviously.
I was going to say, like,
so
I've also
more.
got some acid, which was.
Yeah, that's cool.
More Kraftwerky.
Does do very good acid, this thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a 7 filter. It's 12 dB. As you rightly pointed out, you can get steeper curves by using the second oscillators.
Yeah. So you can sort of run the two. So you have digital filter modes in Oscillator 2 that can process Oscillator 1, and you can stack it with the analog filter and then simultaneously control their cutoffs and such, and make really kind of, you can get something very acidic by mixing that together. So the 6 with the 12 will give you an approximation of that
18 dB
of that TB303 kind of
like
flavor.
Wherever there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, it will techno.
It will techno.
I like that sound. really
always
cool.
add loads of delay, but
Well, that's the thing. The effects sound so good, you can't not use them.
yeah, they're meant to be in these
Yeah, yeah.
sounds. Like it's okay. Oh yeah, this one is. I don't know if I got the sequencer.
That's cute. Yeah.
And every now and then it glitches out. It'll go like. It's really weird. But it's very good at making those kind of like track starter tunes.
Yeah.
Where you're just like would be the start of a track. It wouldn't be
Yeah.
the track, but it would be like
Absolute
get me
inspiration
going.
machine.
Yeah. And I'd be like, right, okay, to this I would add that, and you'd be off. It's a good synth.
It's a very good sound.
It's a good synth.
Yeah. What's this?
Just more of the same.
You found your genre. You found your lane.
It's nice the way when you have the sequencer on, you can actually play the keys and it transposes. So it's forcing you to like perform. You don't have to do that. You can just stand back and let it.
It's worth noting you can't have the play button enabled. So if you try and transpose it whilst the play button's on, you'll just play over the top of it.
Oh yeah, but you can solo over the top.
Yeah. Well, I can't.
Neither can I. But there is scale quantization, so. But yeah, it's just like one of those nice kind of like vowely, the intersection of like where it sounds a bit like a sample. Like I like that you can do that with this.
It's got like the weird chops.
Yeah, stepping through the. It's nice.
Oh.
Well, I think that should conclude
Absolutely.
meandering sort of exploration of some sounds that we've made on the MiniFreak.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you'd like to see more videos of this nature. And Tom, thank you for coming and bringing your MiniFreak.
Pleasure.
Lovely, as always. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.